Thank you for that introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, delegates, esteemed guests, and a special greeting to the Ambassador to Sudan, Ahmed Abdel Latif. I acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. My presentation today is something completely different, in the words of Monty Python, very different to what you've heard at the conference before, and for that I'd like to thank Pay Dirt and Bill Repard in particular for allowing someone like me to speak on a very different topic. I confess, after listening to all these presentations, I've started to learn some of the mining lingo, like I now know what a DFS is, which I'm very proud to bring back home to my university acronyms. Unfortunately, I won't have any Gantt charts in my presentation today. So, who am I? What do I do? I'm an archaeologist. I tell stories from the material and physical traces of the human past. Working in Sudan, my research brought me front and centre to the story of gold. After working at Macquarie, I also went overseas to the UK, USA, China, and brought all those trainings with me to this project here. I hope this isn't only a story of interest to those in the room, but also a point for collaboration and engagement with heritage for operators, miners, and government officials, etc. I'm interested in how we get from this, the humble origins of gold in an excavation or alluvial deposit, which was left in the ground thousands of years ago and abandoned, and how that comes from this to something like this. The Honourable Minister showed this image yesterday, and I hope I don't have to introduce that as an archaeologist. Of course, it's the gold mask of Tutankhamun. And this is the product of cultures and civilizations who mined, refined, purified, and then shaped, sculpted, moulded, and melted this gold into meaningful objects. This is the height of Egyptian gold refining in the New Kingdom period. Not just Egypt, the Arabian-Nubian Shield yielded gold for ancient Kushites, the Empire of Sudan, creating a vast desert zone traversed by multiple groups of miners. Moving into monetary economies, gold expanded logarithmically. Now it's shifted not from jewellery and symbolic objects to material wealth that fueled empires, trade ventures, and linked international trade. The story isn't just a story of ancient Egypt, ancient Sudan, and the Islamic Empire, Romans, Greeks. It's also a story of ancient Aksum, the Empire of Ethiopia. Beyond Northeast Africa and the Arabian-Nubian Shield, ancient gold deposits are known in most of Africa, especially the Sahel and Zimbabwe. So surprisingly, given the importance of all this gold, everyone in here knows why gold's important, its story is largely unwritten, unstudied, and little understood by archaeologists. The nature of mining parties and logistics that supported the refining process, and even the location of ancient gold mines is still being investigated. I'm not interested at all in the story of the shiny, treasured objects we all see in magazines and museums. I'm interested in the dirt story, the story of blood, and probably tears, sometimes my tears, that comes out of ancient gold excavation and refining in a distant desert landscape. This story involves a huge chain of ancient labour, from hammering out quartz, crushing, washing, donkey and camel caravans to workshops and palaces. I'm sad to say scholars, as we usually only see the end, ignore the beginning of this process. For those in here that are involved in gold mining, your tradition spans back in the African continent almost 6,000 years. And Africa is a contender for the most ancient gold mines in world history, along with mines in Bulgaria and the Caucasus. The oldest known worked area is in eastern Sudan, where a small excavation by archaeologists yielded gold wire in a site dating to the 5th millennium BCE. To put that in context, urban empires had not yet arisen. This is gold mining and prospecting by ancient nomads. So if for those in your room that are still mining gold, please look back to this as the origins of your discipline and what you do. In 2017 and 2018, I started a project called the Atbai Survey Project. This project wanted to study the world's oldest gold mining region in eastern Sudan. Its goals for an archaeological project were quite simple and straightforward. We wanted to do ground surveying, the heart and bread and butter of any archaeological project. We wanted to do satellite surveying to analyse where sites were, where mining parties went, and what heritage outcomes we could find in other parts of eastern Sudan. We wanted to do community engagement and outreach to make sure people were aware of this, and this is the goal that brings me here today. And we also wanted to engage in training of local stakeholders in heritage management and archaeological excavation, surveying, GIS, etc. All of these things stand as core pillars in best practice in archaeology, and it's not possible to engage in any of these tasks without the other. The whole point of doing this, it doesn't make sense just doing one of these tasks. All of them are interrelated. We need to work together with local Sudanese stakeholders, foreign collaborators, and private sector in order to achieve most of these tasks. Our scientific collaborators are here as follows. The chief among these is NCAM, the National Corporation of Antiquities and Museums in Sudan, Archaeological Observatory at Cambridge University, University of Bergen, my own university. Importantly, the Beja Cultural Studies Centre in Port Sudan, the local stakeholder and local cultural centre where I work, and also University du Lyon and its lab ISOMA. So what does an ancient gold mine look like? This is roughly an image of a pretty average ancient gold mine in the eastern desert of Sudan. For some, it looks really impressive. For some, not so much. It's basically a hole in the side of the mountain. You can see in the middle of the image these excavations of white quartz spanning about 40 metres wide. Ancient miners usually didn't even strike gold in these deposits. They started in alluvial deposits. That was very much the easiest place to procure gold. Only after the alluvial deposits were extinguished did they move on to excavation of quartz veins in the side of the hill. These produced long galleries, and by the Roman and Arab period, even subterranean diggings going down 20 or 30 metres. But after thousands of years of flash flooding, alluvial mining can be almost invisible, and sometimes only artefacts such as millstones or small huts can tell us that the mining is actually there. And I'm embarrassed to say a lot of archaeologists even could walk past such sites not knowing that they're ancient mines in the first place. In this image, we can see the simple profile of a mine, continuously excavated for about 600 years from 400 to 100, with tiny huts that barely sleep 2 people and millstones used for grinding and crushing quartz. This is probably part of the reason why these sites have gone so unnoticed. We need to tell local stories out of these gold mines. It's not good enough just to collect lots of information on gold mines, where they are, when they were processed. We can do something much better in this. And as archaeologists, when we're given the right tools, equipment, supplies, we can tell very close, intimate stories. For example, in this particular mine, within a small excavation in a refining and milling area where they were specifically crushing quartz, we were able to tell the local story of just who is involved in the mining process. This one refining area yielded objects from at least 5 different groups speaking different languages, involved in diverse workforce and logistics networks that expanded this mine's reach to the Roman Empire, the Abbasid Caliphate, and various other places. This involved Nubians from Sudan, Egyptians, Romans, medieval Arabs probably from Syria and Iraq, and also, importantly here, local nomads, the Beja people, all coming together to mine gold. And I think everyone in this room can reflect on what that looks like in their modern gold mining process in Africa. This gives us truly unique flavour to gold mining operations. Some gold discoveries look like gold mines on first glance, but are not really gold mines. At this particular site, 2 quartz reefs were started an excavation, but were eventually abandoned. But the prospecting settlement turned into something completely different. This is like the Kalgoorlie of ancient eastern Sudan. It was a supply base for mines in the surrounding hills, with 5 or 6 surface deposits only 5 kilometres away. It's very easy sometimes as an archaeologist not to spot the mine, but where the miners went. And I think this is really exciting research that brings the intimacy to this story. You are miners today. We can follow the paths of miners thousands of years ago in this desert. I specifically think this is one of the coolest things we've developed in this program, is to actually walk literally in the footsteps of miners from a water source to an excavation to where they slept, and then back to the Nile Valley where they traded gold. We can do this because the desert is in such a virgin and easy excavatable terrain that we can actually see where the miners walked. And where we can't see it, they tell us where they walked through these hiking trail cans. As part of our project, we started an extensive archaeological mapping program to map the entire region of Eastern Sudan. For archaeological terms, this is incredibly large. I won't bore you here with our classification system and typology of archaeological and gold mining sites, but suffice to say it's to be used by heritage experts in Eastern Sudan. To show a closer look, this is in parts of the central Atbai, we can see a region of extensive archaeological concentration, but also with many gold mines. My colleagues told me there was only 2 gold mines in this region, but we found 12 after our assessment, belonging to different groups who mined in this desert. A more localised story, we have an extensive mine which wasn't seasonal like all other ancient gold mines, but was occupied year-round due to the presence of a local water source, which you can easily see on the satellite today. After our mapping research for only 1 year, we found thousands of pre-Islamic burials and modern Islamic burials, 200 ancient gold mines, 17,000 ancient settlement structures, and over 200 ancient gold mines, 50 rock art sites, and hundreds of artefact scatters. This is what this archaeology looks like. Unexpected archaeology, not just gold mines, things from British gold mines in the 19th century, things from the ancient Stone Age, Old Stone Age, rock art sites telling stories of climate change in the desert. So why do I do all this? What's the point in doing all this? Investigating gold mines and investigating deserts has a great scientific value. We can tell the story not just of ancient empires, geopolitics, but the social stories of the miners themselves. These regions also have more than gold mining heritage. They're regions still occupied by the indigenous Beja people, and this project tells a story of indigenous nomads on the world's most ancient goldfields and how these indigenous peoples interacted with peoples and empires from Egypt to the Middle East and beyond. We also wish to empower local community through this project, training officials in how to manage heritage, identify difficult heritage sites. And while most mines are very minor and don't look like much to the average observer, some of the sites in this region have touristic potential, especially for safari tourism that was common in Sudan before the conflict. Our heritage training involves everything from GIS training, heritage videos for site identification, training of students at my own university, Macquarie University, and also labs where we train through Zoom and online tools for walking survey in Eastern Sudan itself. All this is developed in slow time, so to speak, as per the needs of heritage officials and managers in Eastern Sudan, and specifically Port Sudan. And hopefully we'll be taking on a PhD student from Port Sudan in the near future. Our outreach also, as an Australian Research Council project, extends to the Sudanese diaspora in Australia. And we're proud to say that we have regular meetings with the Sudanese community in Sydney, talking about our research, talking about their own insights into our research. And beyond this, it extends to social media, where we promulgate all our research in English, Arabic, and Beja, or Bedouit, the local language. And I think we're the first blog to do this in the local language of Bedouit. This is also incidentally why I'm here at Africa Down Under to promote this. Our team is not a heritage consulting firm. That being said, we're very happy to play part in any collaborations in this conversation of heritage consulting. So if there's any miners out there that want to tell stories of ancient mines or work with training and stakeholders for site identification, we're very keen to collaborate and work together with as many different parts of the community as possible. So some final takeaways. The project has yielded a great amount of new information on gold mining in the Arabian-Nubian Shield, which is quite commonly practiced over the whole shield from Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, Eritrea. And I think there are more discoveries to come. I'd love to hear from you and I'd like to collaborate more. More archaeological data will arise as mining progresses in the Arabian-Nubian Shield, and we'd like to work on opportunities where we can work together. I do believe there's an alignment between this heritage story and the work of miners throughout Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, Eritrea, etc. And as a foreign academic, I'm not going to talk to you about this regulatory environment, but I wish to be part of this conversation with any stakeholders that we can be. From my conversations with UNESCO colleagues, I strongly believe that the best outcomes for heritage come from the most diverse projects possible, projects that seamlessly integrate all stakeholders from the private sector, academic research. I'm not just thinking about mining operators. To emphasise that most solutions that heritage advocates seek need this support. On top of this, I believe there is a great scope for educational collaboration between Africa and Australia and our heritage officials and scientists in Australia. To return to where I started, let's not forget the human story of this golden enterprise. With stories like this, we can connect the past to the present, make the unfamiliar familiar, and provide a point of contact for people to be informed, touched, and moved by heritage. Thank you, and I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues in Eastern Sudan. Sorry, I'm not sure why that's... I'd like to acknowledge all my colleagues in Eastern Sudan and the difficult times they're going through, as well as our academic sponsors. Thank you, everyone.